Hello everybody, my name is Kiteline3639. Welcome back to another video. Today in this one, it's going to be my meta slash set analysis on the next set, Power of the Elements. We have finally got there, ladies and gentlemen. The set that's probably going to change the meta and probably the best set in the entire year is now here. So in this video, I'll be doing, like the title says, a meta slash set analysis. We'll be going over cards that are free agents, cards that are very good but not in a archetype specifically. Then we'll be covering the new archetypes that is in the Power of the Element set. And then we'll be covering new support cards for decks that already exist as well. And then at the very end of the video, we'll be giving my meta and then my set grade for Power of the Elements. This set does get released this Friday, August 5th, and if you have an OTS store near you, it's actually released August 3rd, which is actually going to be today at the time this gets released. Or if it's a sneak preview, if you already went to the sneak preview, you might already have access to the set, but I just wanted to get a video doing an analysis on this set. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Starting off with our free agent cards, or cards that are basically just not a part of an archetype, we're going to be starting off with Ultimate Slayer. This is probably going to be one of the best cards in the entire set that doesn't belong to an archetype. So if you don't know what it does, you can send one monster from your extra deck to the graveyard and target one monster with the same type, either, XYZ, Pendulum, Link, whatever the thing, shuffle that card into the deck and your opponent cannot respond with monster effects. Again, this is just another good board-breaking card. This absolutely will see play straight away. Probably won't be seeing main deck, maybe getting the side deck play. Again, you do need your extra deck to kind of line up, make sure you can have everything, so this card is always live no matter what deck you are versing. This card is an amazing card, though. There's a reason why it's a secret rare in this set. This is a card you probably should be getting your eyes on, because this is a very good card that probably will see play immediately. So yes, that's going to be our start to the free agent cards. Next thing up for our free agent cards is, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, Reverse Nibiru is basically what's going to be its nickname now in the TCG. If you don't know what this does, it's a card that cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by tributing all face-up monsters on the field that's activated their effect this turn in your opponent's monster zone. Gains 1500 attack for each monster tributed by this effect, and then during the end phase, it can special summon target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field, which is very, very good. So this is just another board-breaking card. Basically you're trying to go in second. They're going to be activating effects when you're trying to play your game. You just go after all that, special summon this card, tributing their monsters, get a big guy on field because it's already at 1500, and you're probably tributing a couple monsters off of this, and then you're getting a free special summon during your end phase. You can target something like a Baron in their graveyard or something like that, give you some negations. Is this going to be good? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell because this is only a going second card. It's not really a going first card. It doesn't really do anything going first. Going second doesn't interact with your opponent during their turn. It's only with your turn. It can't be. It's not a quick effect, a special summon or anything like that. So this is going to be hard to say. It is a secret rare in the set and something you probably want to keep your eyes out for. Is it going to see that much play though? We'll have to see. I don't know. I have my reservations. I don't think it's that great of a card. It's a good card, but I think there's better cards. Something like Dark Roller No More is probably better to play. But yeah, we'll see if this card does see play, but it is something to keep your eyes out. Next thing up on our free agent cards is Drago Utopian Aurora. So if you don't know what this is the new counter trap, generic counter trap in Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically what it does is when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, negate the activation if you do destroy that monster. Then you can banish one monster from your hand to take control of that monster, but its effects are negated. It's a very good card. It's basically a little bit of a weaker Solemn Strike. Probably going to be seeing plays in something like Out Legion, stuff like that. But overall, is it going to be seeing huge play? Absolutely not. It's only going to be seeing plays in trap decks, but even then, I don't know, I think Strike would probably be better. But, this is another basically Strike for any back row deck. So, just playing another 3 copies of basically Strike might just help out trap decks. This is also a secret rare in the set as well. Again, very, very good counter trap. Generic counter trap as well can be played in any deck that can use it. So this is something you might want to pick up. But I don't know if you have the option between this or Solemn Strike, you'll probably be playing Solemn Strike instead, because Solemn Strike does negate anything from anywhere, while this only negates on field. And this also does not pay life points, so this is basically activatable anytime during the duel. So yeah, very good card. Next things up for our free agent cards is Ashura King. So basically what this does, it's basically a monster negate. So when this card, while this card has material, it can attack a number of times in the battle phase up to the number of materials it has attached to it. And at the start of the damage step of this card battles, it gains 200 attack. Great attack boost by that. But the main effect is when a monster effect activates its effect. Quick effect, detach one material from this card, negate the activation. If you do destroy that card, you can only use this effect of Ashura King once per turn. Now, this is very good. Any level 3 deck can basically play this because it's very generic to make. The only problem with the Ashura King, and it has the monster negate and stuff like that, it even has some battle stuff you want to do in the battle phase as well. The only problem with this card is it requires a lot to go into. It requires 3+ level 3s to go into, so at least 3 level 3s on your field just to make a monster negate. I don't know if that is good. The only decks you can think of that comes to mind is something like BA or Phantom Knights that can make this. But Phantom Knights would rather make like a Rusty than just a negation and stuff like that. So it's going to be hard to gauge on this. It is a very good card, but the fact that it requires 3 level 3s to make is going to be very hard. If it said like 2 level 3s, then absolutely, it's going to see tons of play in level 3 decks. But right now with that 3 level 3s, it's going to be a little hard to justify putting in your extra deck and stuff like that. But it's still a very good card. Also a secret rare in this set. Something to probably maybe get your hands on. Maybe there's a level 3 deck in the future that can take advantage of this. But yeah, that is it for this card. And then for our last free agent card, it is Garura Wings of Resident Life. Basically, the only reason why this is very good is because it's a super poly target. And that's basically it. But again, it's a very generic super poly target. It only requires 2 monsters with the same types and attributes. I don't know if it's going to be that great in the next format, because Splight might be ending on same types and attributes, but you're only getting rid of the Splites and still having to deal with Toad and stuff like that. And then like the Terror Elements, they're already ending on Dark and Fusions, so you're probably going to be making Starving Venom or Dragon's Stapelio instead of this card. But this is a card you probably want to pick up as long as Super Poly stays at 3, just because if there's a format in the future where this is absolutely insane, you absolutely want to have this card for sure. It's an ultra rare in the set, so it probably won't be that much money right now, but we'll see about that. Also has a nice effect if it's sent to the graveyard, you can draw 1 card, so it also works with something like Nadir's Servant and Dogmatica Maximus, or even the Ultimate Slayer that we had earlier in the video. It's very, very good card you probably want to pick up. I don't know if it's going to be good in the next format, but something you're going to want to pick up soon, because Super Poly is always just an insane card, especially if that card's at 3. But yeah, that is it for the entire free agent cards. Now let's get into the new Archetype cards. Starting off with our first new Archetype is Sprite. Now this is the Archetype that's immediately going to see play straight away. People are going to call it Tier 0. It's not going to be Tier 0. It's not going to be as good as it was in the OCG, but it's still going to be a very good deck. So if you don't know what Sprite is, it's basically a level 2, rank 2, link 2 archetype that can special summon. Their main monsters can special summon as long as you control a level or rank 2 or a link 2 for some of the monsters as well. They're very, very good. Blue being able to search a Sprite monster, Jet's able to search a Sprite spell or trap, and then red and carrot are red is a monster negate and carrot is a spell and trap negate. And then their extra deck monster, Gigantic Splight, is basically it's just basically a special summon from deck. You do get locked into level 2s, which, doesn't do anything because you are playing level 2s anyways. It locks your opponent out of level 2s, so this deck against Nibiru is very good because you're most likely doing Gigantic Sprite before they do a Nibiru anyways. Again, very, very good deck. Sprite Elf being able to monster reborn any level 2 from the a graveyard, and then if your opponent controls a monster, you can also reborn any extra deck monster as well. So this archetype is probably going to be very good straight off the bat. Is it going to be the best deck of the format? We will have to see. I feel like our next new archetype might put a little bit of contention on that. But again, it's probably something you want to get your hands on. There's only one secret rare in this archetype, and that is Sprite Blue here. So, that's probably the only expensive card. Gigantic Sprites and Sprites Elf are ultra rares. It's maybe like $15 cards, maybe 20 at the most. But yeah, very, very good archetype, very generic, so you can throw other level 2 archetypes in. People are throwing in the Swap Frog engine to make totally awesome. People are playing the Evil Twin version to get some pops during your opponent's turn. There's just a lot of level 2s you can throw in this deck just because it synergizes well with any level 2 archetype. Again, something to keep your eyes on. This is probably going to be good straight off the bat. Is it going to be tier 0 like it was in the OCG? Hell no, because Maxi is not legal, and that's the reason why it was insane over there, because you're able to search Maxi because of it being a level 2. So yeah, very, very good archetype, but that's our first new archetype for Power of the Elements. Next thing up for our new archetype card is... oh boy, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I am terrible at English. I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but this archetype here. Yeah, so basically what they are is basically generic Earth support cards in a form of a new archetype, basically. So a lot of them have a discard effect where you discard this card and one other monster in the archetype to either do something with Earth. The one on the left can draw one card, and then you can special summon an Earth monster from your graveyard. The other one adds an Earth monster from your graveyard, or from your graveyard to your hand, except this card, and then you can special summon an Earth monster from your graveyard. Again, not powerful right away, but something you might want to pick up your hands because pick up because this is good generic Earth support archetype. Any Earth deck can use this as long as you're trying to special summon from the grave and stuff. Like Earth Machines can absolutely use this for an advantage engine as well. I think this is something you do want to pick up in the near future, just in case they release a new archetype in the future that's, Earth and very good and also synergizes well with these cards. Something you want to consider because it is going to be very good, I think, in the future. Right now, probably going to do nothing, but in the future, I think this is something you do want to pick up. So yeah, that is it for this archetype. Next thing up for our new archetype is Terra Elements, and oh boy, is this going to be a new archetype. I think this is the most fun archetype out of the new archetypes that are coming out in Power of the Elements. It also has the highest ceiling of all the new archetypes in this set. Like Sprite is super consistent and stuff like that, but it has a low ceiling, while Terra Elements has a very, very high ceiling. I feel like if people can figure the good things about this deck, I feel like this could be the best deck in the entire game. But right now, there is contention between Splight or Terra Element being the best deck in the format. So basically, what they're doing is trying to mill cards into the graveyard. They're trying to mill Terra Elements to the graveyard, because when they're sent to the graveyard by a card effect, they gain effects. All the main monsters, except for Rhino Heart, can fusion summon from the graveyard, and then Rhino Heart can, if it's sent to the graveyard, can special summon itself out, and then mill or send a Terra Element card from hand to graveyard. The fusion, the level 5 fusion here, can mill 5 when it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, and then the big fusion, the Kaleido Heart, once it's sent to the graveyard, can send a Terra Element from deck and then special himself out. This archetype is insane, especially this field spell. This field spell is insane. It's basically a Rhoda for the archetype, and also a pop when you fusion summon, or a Terra Element gets shuffled back into the extra or main deck, which is basically just fusion summoning in this archetype. It's a pop, and then it also gains 500 attack for every fusion and Terra Element monster on the field. This field spell is absolutely insane, and this is the only secret rare. Oh no, there's 2 secret rares in this. It's the field spell and Kaleido Heart, the big boy fusion. The main guys here you want to get for the main monsters is Rhino Heart, being able to normal summon Foolish, a Terra Element monster, and then being able to go into your fusion plays. Shaolin is probably very good as well. Miru is very good as well. All this archetype is very good. It's not even at its best peak yet. Once the Ishizu cards come out, I think in November, this archetype becomes even better as well. But right now, this is a contention for the best deck in the format. We will have to see once we get into the tournaments and stuff like that. But this is a very, very good archetype that you probably want to get your hands on right now, because it's going to be good now and it's going to be good in the future as well. And then our last new archetype in this set is Fish. Yes, that's how you pronounce this. G-H-O-T-I. You pronounce it Fish. Don't you just love the English language? Yes, so the new Fish archetype is coming in. Now, this is, considerably compared to the other new archetypes, is weaker, but it still has something going for it. Being able to get into their big synchro summon of the Fish of the Deep Beyond during your opponent's turn is insane, because it banishes all cards on the field. Okay, it banishes everything on the field, and a lot of your monsters get effects when they're banished. Very good, and it is getting more support in Darkwing Blast as well. So maybe picking this up now, and hopefully the new support in the future can do something, might be nice. Again, this is just a new Fish archetype. Don't really, it's not as powerful as the other two, but if it's very relatively cheap, I think the only secret is going to be Fish from the Deep Beyond, because the Ultra was the sneak preview card. But I mean, probably something you want to pick up your hands just in case the new support is very, very, very good, because the support they have now does make it an okay deck. Being able to summon the Fish from the Deep Beyond during your opponent's turn is always nice, but compared to the other archetypes, probably not as powerful, which is a shame, because this is a TCG exclusive, and yeah, we just hope that the next wave of support is good. Right now, it's a decent deck, but not going to be as great as the other two decks. But yeah, that's it for the entire new archetypes. Now let's get into support for the existing archetypes in this set. Starting off with our new support cards is the Exo Sister support. Basically, what the Exo Sisters need. So basically, this monster does everything for the archetype Exo Sister Malefica. I think it's called something else now. But if you control no monsters, you can just special summon this card, and I think it is Ellis from the deck. And then basically getting you into a free XYZ summon is always very, very nice. This deck was really lacking, because being able to summon 2 level 4s was hard. With just pure Exo Sisters, you have to throw other stuff in here. Now, with this new Exo Sister monster, now they have something to go off of, being able to, free special summon of a 2 level 4s going into one of their Exo Sister XYZ monsters, and being able to go off from there. It also has an effect like all the other Exo Sisters have. When a card is moved from the graveyard to anywhere else, it can trigger its effect to XYZ summon a monster, an Exo Sister monster from the extra deck. Now, the thing is this one is a little different from all the other Exo Sister monsters, because all the other Exo Sister monsters require your opponent to move something. This one requires anyone to move anything. What the Exo Sisters probably should have been. So if you move it from something from your graveyard or opponent's graveyard anywhere else, then you can trigger this girl's effect as well. Now, the new trap is also very nice as well. Basically, just reads 2 banishes. Yes, you heard that correctly. So if all monsters you control are Exo Sister monsters, pay 800 life points, target a card your opponent controls, banish it, and then apply one of the other effects it has. You can either immediately after this effect resolves, XYZ summon 1 Exo Sister XYZ monster using monsters you control, or if you already XYZ summoned previously this turn, which is not hard in this archetype, you can just banish another card your opponent controls. Yeah, so this card is basically a banish 2 in this archetype. Very good support cards. Exo Sister, maybe it's not going to be the best deck, but, maybe a tier 2 to a rogue player that could outpace something like a Terra Elements. Versus Terra Elements against if Exo Sisters go against Terra Elements, oh boy, Terra Elements are going to have a rough time with Exo Sister. Very, very good new support for the Exo Sisters to shoot it up into maybe tier 2 contention, but not going to be the best deck in the format by far. Next thing up on the new support cards is the hero support that's coming out in Power of the Elements. Now, the only really good one out of the entire hero stuff is the Instant Contact. It's basically instant fusion for the hero Archetype. So pay 1,000 life points, special summon a level 7 or lower elemental hero or neospatial monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning condition. But if you do not have an elemental hero neos on the field or in graveyard, the summoned monster cannot attack and its effects are negated. Now, that's not that hard to accomplish in the hero deck, so you're most likely getting their effects and stuff like that. This is going to be the secret rare for the new support. Very, very good card, but after all, the heroes aren't really going to be doing anything. I don't think, Instant Contact is a good card. And you know what? Shiny Neos Wingman is decent as well, but is it going to shoot hero to, a tier 1 deck? It probably won't. It probably won't. Hero hasn't been a tier 1 deck, ever. Just like pure heroes have never been a tier 1 deck ever. But again, very good support, especially this Instant Contact. Maybe if they release a powerful elemental hero in the future, they can maybe be, something generic that all players can play in a meta deck. But right now, it's not going to be doing anything special for the deck. But it is very good support that I probably want to keep your hands on, especially Instant Contact. Next thing up on our support cards are the new Therion support cards. Now, this is basically... one of them is the Reptile Therion, so you can target one Therion or one Reptile in your graveyard, special summon it. The other one is just target 3 Therion monsters in your graveyard, special summon this card from your hand if you do equip the targeted monsters to it. So basically just like the boss monster, technically, in the Archetype. Now, this ain't going to really see play in any Therion's deck because King Regulus is still the best Therion in the Archetype. This ain't really doing much. All the good Therions are already out. King Regulus, Lily, and the field spell, the Disc Coliseum. They're already out. They're the best ones. Even if you include these Therions, they're still the best ones in the Therion Archetype. So they are getting new support. They probably ain't going to see play unless you're playing pure Therions, which is a realistic thing because Smasher is coming out in this set, and that's basically just a special summon of a Therion. But yeah, very, Therion's getting their new support, but again, not going to do much because the good Therions are already out, so there's that. Next thing up on our new support cards is Mathmech, or, just Mathmech Circular. Now, this is going to be an insane support card for the Mathmech because it's just a Magician's Souls for the Archetype. So you don't know what it does. It can send one Mathmech monster from the deck to the graveyard except for himself for cost, and then special summon this card from your hand. And also you only attack with one monster for the rest of the turn. Now that doesn't matter if you're going first because obviously this card's insane. You're being able to foolish a monster from your deck that basically can special summon itself out anyway. So basically you're getting a +1 off of this. Very, very good card. And also if another Mathmech monster is no more special summon to your field while you control this monster, you can also add a Mathmech spell trap from your deck to your hand. So basically, it's a Foolish and a Search for a spell trap. This card is very, very good. Again, like I said, it's a 1-card combo because you special summon this, send the Mathmech that can special summon itself out from the graveyard, special summon that card out, and then search the spell trap, and then you get into your XYZ monster straight away. Very, very good card for the Archetype. Is Mathmech going to shoot up to tier 1 play? Probably not. I can see it being a rogue deck and maybe even a tier 2 deck, but it's not going to be a tier 1 deck. But this is still a very, very good card, especially at super rare. It's going to be very cheap to pick up as well. So this card, very, very good for the Mathmech Archetype. Next thing up on our support cards here is Morphtronic, but the only one that kind of matters here is Morphtronic Telephon. Now, if you don't know what this is, so basically in attack position, you can roll a 6-sided dice, and if you do gain life points equal to the result times 100, then you can spell summon one Morphtronic from your graveyard whose level equals that. Is it equal or low? Equal or lower than that result. Now, if you don't know, it doesn't include Morphtronic Telephon in its name. It doesn't say except Morphtronic Telephon. So if you get one on the field and one of them in the graveyard, it's basically an infinite loop because it's a soft once per turn as well. So if it leaves the field and comes back, you can trigger its effect again. So yes, basically once you get one in field and one in graveyard, it's an infinite loop that keeps going on itself. Since it's a level 1, even if you roll a 1 on the dice, you can still special summon Telephon from the graveyard. Very, very, very good. And it's a common as well, so it's not going to be very, very expensive. The only problem is you have to kind of build your deck around this. You have to make sure you can get the infinite loop going. That's the only problem. Once you get the infinite loop going, you can basically do whatever. You can FTK. You can sell crazy end boards with this thing. Just up to you. But you have to get into the infinite loop kind of setup. And that's the only problem with this card. Don't be surprised if you see this anywhere, because this card is insane. And yeah, if that infinite loop does happen, you're kind of fucked. And you just hope they're not playing the FTK version of this deck. But something you do want to consider, because it is a very good card, especially being at common as well. Next thing up on our new support cards here is the new Punk support that comes in the set. And let's just say, I mean, it isn't that great. Basically, they're getting a synchro monster if this card is synchroed or special summoned by a Punk card effect. You can pay 600, take a level 3 from your deck, either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. And then if your opponent activates a monster or effect in response to a Punk monster, you can just special summon this card from your graveyard as well. Not very good, but you know, it's something. And then the field spell they're getting as well is basically you can banish a Punk from your graveyard to special summon a Punk from your hand. Now, if that's a deck, that'd be insane, but it does say hand. And if you psych a monster you control pays life points to activate a card effect, you can just draw one card as well. It's okay. There's already the good Punk cards are already out in like Dear No and Zed Adamant and Foxy Tomb. They're all right. The field spell being able to, you know, basically just upstart Goblin is nice, but you know, overall, is it that great? Probably not. But yeah, I just wanted to include this in here because it is in Power of the Elements. And then the last support card in the Power of the Element set is Rika. Rika is getting their new support in this archetype. One is very good because you have to consider the Sun Avalon deck does exist with the Therions and stuff, so getting new Rika support could help out this deck, and they getting good support. The field spell is absolutely insane. If you control Rika monster, you can set one Rika spell trap from your deck to the spell and trap zone, but you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except for plant monsters, which, you know, I mean, if you're playing pure Rika, ain't that much of a problem. Also, it has an effect if you would tribute a monster for a Rika's card effect, or just a plant monster. Or no, if you activate a Rika card effect and you have to tribute a plant monster, you can just tribute one of your opponent's monsters instead. That is very, very good. Being able to have that removal, and something you remember, Dark Ruler No More are probably going to be one of the best cards in this upcoming format. So having ways to do plays while not being able to still play through a Dark Ruler No More and stuff like that is going to be very good. Now, the Rika Snow Princess is also very nice, because if during the main phase you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, you cannot special summon it except for plant monsters for the rest of the turn. And then it has a quick effect where you can shuffle this card from your hand or graveyard, tribute one, I think it has to be plant, yeah, tribute one plant monster to negate a monster effect. Now, that's nice with the field spell as well, because the field spell can distribute one of your opponent's monsters instead as well. Very good support for the Rika archetype. Is it going to see play? It's going to see play in the plant decks, obviously. Is it going to be, you know, shooting it up to tier 1? We'll have to see, because this is good support for the Rika archetype. Now, that is it for the entire new support cards. Now, let's get into my grade on Power of the Elements. Now to my grades of Power of the Element. Now, the meta grade I have to give an A+. This set is absolutely going to shift the meta thanks to only sprites and Terra elements, and that's basically it. You also have to consider you're getting the Math Mech new support, and then you're also getting Ultimate Slayer, which is a good generic card as well. Those by themselves absolutely shift the meta, so that will absolutely get an A+ from me. But for the set overall, it's a good set. It's an A. I would give it an A. There's a lot of good stuff in here, a lot of good existing support card or support cards for existing archetypes. The new archetypes are also very good, even if you don't count the sprites and the Terra elements. You know, Fish is also going to be a decent deck. And then the fucking one I can't pronounce, the one that starts with a V. Basically, that's going to be good maybe in the future when a new Earth deck comes out that can maybe take advantage of those cards as well. Overall, I think this is a very good set, and if you could buy this card, you probably or buy the set, you probably should buy this set. This set is very, very good. You know, maybe picking up a box or two might be worth it in the long run. You know, picking up a case might be worth it as well. If that's only if you're really going hard into the meta as well. But overall, this is a very, very good set, and I'm excited to see what it will do for Yu-Gi-Oh! For the next couple of months. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content on the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!